Hello, good evening, welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live from USAP at Desawe Kanda, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. I am Alfred Ocansey.
My name is Grace Agyemang.
This evening, Transport Ministry withdraws controversial LI on sirens and speed limits after public backlash. We'll tell you the latest on this, plus some analysis on the foregoing conversation. Also tonight, increased fears over spread of dengue fever to other regions as the central region records a case. We'll take you live plus up close with a survivor. Also this evening, Upper West Regional Security Council places 100,000 cedis bounty on suspects of mysterious killings in the region, urging residents to share information so that the security agencies will know exactly what to do. We'll tell you what is going on in there. And also here on your Election Command Center, we'll bring you campaign trail as we go on to give you an idea of how the various political parties are gearing into election 2024 and matters arising here on Hot Additional 3FM 92.7. We're also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Also, ECG's $145 million meter procurement breached Public Procurement Act. That's according to the Auditor General's report. We have details of that. Stay with us. But now, we'll settle for a summary of the news now. And let's get into it now, shall we? Yep.
Safwa is joining us to give us the summaries, Alfred.
Hello, Safwa.
Yes, hi, Alfred.
Yes, shall we?
Great. So beginning with the summary, the minority in Parliament has welcomed the withdrawal of the controversial legislative instrument LI on road traffic amendments to Regulation 74. The opposition lawmakers, however, asked the government to also withdraw the other controversial LIs, such as the one that is seeking to regulate the prices of cement. And Mawako Fast Food has been ordered to pay over 1 million Ghana cedis in damages to plaintiffs who were victims of a food poisoning incident in 2022. The plaintiffs, Winifred Che, Roger Bismarck Che, and Walter Che, have each been awarded an amount of 345,000 Ghana cedis as general damages and will jointly receive special damages of 25,215.48 Ghana cedis. Also, the court awarded 10,000 Ghana cedis against the defendants for the plaintiffs' legal representation costs and overall litigation expenses. Now, traders at the Medina market in the Greater Accra region are threatening to withhold payment of the daily market toll of 2 Ghana cedis should the local government authority fail to develop their market. The women who make up the majority of vendors at the bustling open-air market say the revenue generated from the daily market tools should be reinvested into improving the market's infrastructure and facilities. Also, Greater Accra Regional Minister Titus Glover has served notice of an impending demolition of illegal structures along the Laboma Beach and Pishi Lagoon. The minister, while leading the Regional Coordinating Council, also ordered the arrest of some suspected property developers accused of erecting illegal structures along the beachfront. And lastly, Labour expert Seth Aboloso has called for the resignation of SNET board chair Elizabeth Oheneba and the Director General Kofi Bosompem Osafoma for saying they have completely failed in steering affairs of SNET activities. Speaking to Johnny Hughes on Sunrise, he said he will be calling on the organized labor to picket at the pension house should the leadership of SNET renege on their resignation. And that is the end of our summary today. Alfred.
Safa, thank you so much for the summaries. And there's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Hot Edition. We're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. And let's get into the stories now, Grace, shall we? A Minister for Transport has withdrawn the controversial legislative instrument on the use of sirens after public uproar over the proposed law that sought to amend portions of the Road Traffic Regulations 2012. Now, but the latest twist to this development, the LI indeed did not get the absolute approval of the entire committee members. The Minister of Local Government, Martin Kweku J. Mensah-Kosa, on behalf of the Transport Minister, withdrew the LI on road traffic amendments to Regulation 74. According to the Minister, this has become necessary based on the extensive engagement with leadership. The amendment of Regulation 74 of LI 2180 will now permit the fitting of sirens or bells as warning appliances on specific classes of vehicles, including those owned by Justice of the Supreme Court, Members of Parliament, and Ministers of State. First, I want us to take a listen to the Local Government Minister speaking on the floor of Parliament earlier today.
You can. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I write to move that the Road Traffic Amendment Regulation 2024, which was laid on the Friday, 14 June 2024, be withdrawn. Mr. Speaker, this has become necessary based on extensive engagement with leadership. It is so withdrawn, Mr. Speaker. Yeah.
Very well. Honourable members, I think this is a simple matter. Government brought the legislation. It has decided to withdraw. And therefore, I think, I just want to give the opportunity to the leaders alone. So, honourable-ship.
Mr. Speaker, we shall always work, if you are the one in the chair, with you, and follow up on the understanding we have at conclave to make work in the chamber orderly. What we discussed at conclave is not what has just taken place. And Mr. Speaker, in the future, if you witness conclave and a decision is taken, and it doesn't suit us, our side, and we decide to do what suits us, I hope, with your kind respect, you will not be surprised.
Don't.
Mr. Speaker,
I don't think
you knew this is not what we decided. The comment, I cannot repeat the comment that was made at conclave. So, Mr. Speaker, they have decided that an issue of national interest is not good looking on Parliament, especially government, and they have decided to withdraw it. Mr. Speaker, we have no business talking about it, but I can just remind them, there are other allies that have been laid that the public is still not happy about. I will encourage them to withdraw those ones as well. Mr. Speaker, whilst the Minister of Trade is here, the ally that he laid on cement is also not, the public is not happy. We also come and withdraw yours as well. Come and withdraw the cement ally as well.
Yes, Honourable Majority Whip.
Speaker, let me say that indeed it's a human institution and we are humans. So my colleague should just be calm. These things happened and let's make progress. I think that I want to commend leadership. Early in the morning, I engaged my colleague and other leaders also came in, expressed same views, that there's a need for us to do the needful.
Well, that's Frank Anodompre ending that one there. Now, earlier, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagman, had said he had no knowledge of any ally that was before Parliament. Now, that indeed, Grace, generated a lot of discussion because what I'm going to tell you later is on the day that this ally was first laid on the floor of Parliament, the Speaker was the one presiding over the business of the House. So as to exactly why he said at this event to mark the
4 years of the private members' bill,
it clearly indicates that there's some disconnect somewhere. But first off, let's take a listen to the Speaker on this.
There's nothing like that before, Papa. And so I thought maybe something was being done behind my listen. So I started calling all over, and all my directors said no, they have not seen anything like that. I have the responsibility of admitting many of these things. Sometimes they may elude me, but I haven't seen any such bill. Then later on, I was told it was a regulation that Parliament was amended. We don't amend regulations. We don't have the power by the Constitution to amend regulations or instruments. We don't have. So to start with, I then told the people that no, that one can't be true. Your Parliament cannot amend. We have delegated, the Constitution in fact has delegated that power to other bodies, not to Parliament. And so when they bring an instrument either in the nature of an ally, that's legislative, or CI, constitutional, if out of 100 provisions we disagree with one, we are not even allowed to amend that one.
Oh, that's the Speaker of Parliament there. Now, let's now take a listen on the day that this LI was first laid in Parliament and what the Speaker of Parliament said on that day, which contradicts what you just heard, that he has indicated right now that he has no knowledge of this LI and the amendments to the current LI 2180. I'm talking about the Road Traffic Regulations 74 of LI 2180.
For roads, Minister for Transport is called upon to lay that instrument. Yes, please.
Honourable Speaker, they were consulting and we wanted to wait for them to come. And so, please, let the man just came. Please, let's engage him.
I'm just told by the chairman of the committee that the concerns they raised have been addressed. So we can lay. We just hope that it doesn't become another controversy that, oh, we've laid it and public says who did it, we don't know about it. So, Mr. Speaker, once the chairman has confirmed that it's been addressed, we have no objection to we can lay it.
Show me the provisions that we ask to be inserted. So, Mr. Speaker, it can be laid. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise on Order 64.
Order what?
64. That we do not have the.
Okay, we take note of it.
We do not have the.
I've taken note of it. I know the contents and I know the procedure.
I wish you direct the bell is rung. But that's what the standing orders say. And I'm happy you have taken note. So if you could ask them to ring the bell. So
yes, the writing will be done.
Mr. Speaker.
Don't detail it for me. I know it.
Okay. So Mr. Speaker, is 1 minute.
You have my word.
1 minute past 2.
Yes, so please, can you present the instrument? Table office, kindly do the writing. Let the bell be rung for 10 minutes.
Road Traffic Amendment Regulations 2024.
Honourable members, the Road Traffic Amendment Regulation 2024 is accordingly laid and referred to the Subsidiary Legislation Committee for consideration and report to the House. The Committee on Transport could support the Committee of Subsidiary Legislation with whatever material they have in order to enrich the report that will be submitted to the House.
So that's the Speaker of Parliament there on this fateful day that this LI was first laid. Talking about the Road Traffic Amendments Regulation 2012 LI 2180. So clearly, Grace, contradicts what the Speaker said earlier, indicating that he has no knowledge
idea
of this. Now, the Honorable Mama Yaraga has jumped to the defense of the Speaker of Parliament on this issue. This is a Boko Central Member of Parliament earlier today.
Speaker can justifiably deny knowledge of the LI because the practice in the past has been for LIs to go through what is called pre-laying consideration. Even before it is brought to the Speaker, the proponent of the LI, which is the minister, will normally approach the chairman of the committee. The chairman will convene the committee to review whatever the minister has brought as his proposals. Then they agree on a final version. It is that version that often goes to the Speaker after it has been completed. So the Speaker can justifiably say, I don't know about it because it hasn't come to him because of this practice of it being worked on before even coming to the Speaker. So I can defend the Speaker along those lines. Now, on the substance of the regulations, I can sympathize with the general public and the anger that has been expressed in response to this proposal, because those of us in the political class, ministers, deputy ministers, government officials, we are responsible for delivering to the public an effective and efficient public transport system. We have woefully failed in our responsibility to do that. And there's huge traffic in town. People are spending their meager salaries on fuel and diesel to transport themselves home. And instead of us concentrating on solving that problem for the public, we are seeking to exempt ourselves from this suffering that the members of the public, who are the taxpayers on whose back we are all being paid, we are seeking to exempt ourselves from that suffering. Let us all join the traffic. If it is difficult, then let's go and fix the problem.
Well, that's Mama Yarga there, Boko Central Member of Parliament, and that's his position on this matter and the point of departure with a number of members of Parliament who think that this LI is in the right way. And the likes of Andy Apiakobi Grace, if you recall, defended this LI, indicating that members of Parliament have a lot to do. They have tight deadlines to meet. And so this deadline, in fact, this LI is in the right vein. But as we do know now, this LI has been withdrawn by the Transport Minister. In fact, the local government minister did so for and on behalf of the Transport Minister. Let's say a bit further on this matter. And joining us on the telephone is Mr. Sogabra, Executive Director of and founder of Top Tech Transport and Logistics, but also a transport expert. He's joining us on the telephone. Sogabra, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Thank you, and good evening to your listeners.
First off, I mean, this decision to withdraw is coming at a time when the public did raise concerns about this, and then also from your perspective, analyzing how this was going to play out, especially on the roads. What does this development tell you, especially to the extent that at some point the Speaker of Parliament says, you know what, I had no knowledge of this. Meanwhile, we did establish right now that this had already been laid in Parliament.
Yeah, hello?
I can hear you clearly.
Yes, okay. So it's a good decision that the bill has been withdrawn. Morning till afternoon, I've been on stations, both TV, radio, elaborating on why it should be withdrawn. I guess the general public will be happy about that. Naturally, we have failed to develop our transport system. We have failed to let the fast rapid transit system work, which would have taken a lot of load of traffic on our roads. Unfortunately, traffic is increasing because many people won't like to join the public transport, which is a waste. People would like to purchase their own vehicles and then use them to go anywhere, which is not the best practices all over the world. Assuming the PRT system was working, I do not think it would be necessary for MPs, ministers, and so on to place this part in the airline to say that, hey, they should convey us with a motorcade to our offices and wherever we work. Right, so we have failed. I could just have imagined how many motorbikes the government would have imported to do this work. And then the manpower, as well as training the policemen to be very good bikers. It would have been chaotic. So it's good it has been withdrawn. It would have also meant that we would have had a lot of disturbances already in traffic. As hell, I always say that out of 10 vehicles that you see around, five of the drivers are mentally not sound in quotes. I say so because there's a lot of frustration in traffic. I'll give you an example. You're coming from Adenta in the morning at 6 o'clock, expect yourself to be around 37 and military hospital area in the next 1.5 hours. This is due to the increasing the increase of vehicles in the country. I mean, everybody is imported. The Islam population could be about 5 to 7% per annum now. We have a population of about roughly 4 million. If I give you early, we'll give you the right information. However, everybody is looking for this space. Everybody is looking for the road. The roads are bad. The roads are not being repaired. If you have all these roads being repaired, I am sure traffic will be moving smoothly. Again and again, I feel it is time for the MPs, all those important people, they are important anyway, to feel the heat that the ordinary Ghanaian is feeling in traffic. Okay? And then that will enable them to have more plans to expand the road network which we have. Somebody that I praise so well is the Inspector General of Police, who lives in my area. You would never see him in the GP1 blaring sirens to say, hey, IGP is passing. No, he sits in a car without the flag on and then stay in traffic till he gets to work. That's a very good one. Right. I think it is also time for our good politicians to know that if this would have gone through, after 4 years in office, they become ordinary and would not have that privilege. This would have been a big product to all of them. I wish them well. They are doing their work as MPs, as ministers, but as for this, it has failed.
So, Gabriel, yes, this has been withdrawn, but then again, you look at what the status quo is. The unfortunate situation we're dealing with is that even though this is not law, we see a number of the ministers who have fitted sirens on their vehicles, their V8, illegally. In fact, a number of people did not know until now that ministers of state are not supposed to use sirens because we see them on our roads. We see members of parliament who have sirens on their V8 on our roads. That's illegal, at least per the current status of the law. How do we check this abnormality that has been normalized?
I always believe that we should set up very good examples like the IGP. It is not really necessary for them to fix the sirens. It is an offense. But how do you report the situation then? How can you see? Because a policeman standing in the middle of the road will even give the directions for them to pass and go. Right? It is really unfortunate that this is happening. And it should start from the top. I remember our president some time ago announced that there shouldn't be any siren blaring and so on. But did it work? It did not work. But if it will work, then it should be an enforcement issue. Are we prepared to arrest those who flout the regulations? Are we prepared to deal with the recalcitrancy of such people? I do not think it will work in our country because even the policeman will be scared of dealing with any 4x4. However, the vehicle passes and it is fully tinted. That is also another issue that we need to look out for another day because that alone is also against the regulations.
So you talk about enforcement. So essentially, even with the police who are supposed to enforce, as you indicated, we see on the road that they are the ones who would even aid these V8s with these ministers and MPs who are not supposed to have this on their vehicles, actually to pass through and get out without being arrested. What has to change? I mean, what has to happen for these persons who are supposed to enforce the law? I mean, I'm talking about Ghana Police Service to do so.
The only thing that I can say is the E in road safety that we all talk about. I always made we have education, enforcement, engineering of the roads, as well as emergency services. If one breaks down, definitely road safety breaks down. That is what we are seeing at this very moment, that enforcement is broken down. Those people who drive, it is not only ministers, the ordinary people that we see using the road have fixed the red and blue strobe light, which belongs to the police. I mean, that's the sign of an emergency vehicle from the police. It is all over, and people are not being arrested. Well, occasionally, I think it's just radio system, company with the police did some nice things that we saw. But when I checked, I understand they were asked to stop, and it was an order from above. What country are we living in? I went on a trip to Netherlands, meeting a whole transport minister. I never knew I started in the same train with him. When we got to the station, he rode a bike to his office. I had to take a tram to his office. The bike was faster anyway. I got to the entrance of the Minister of Transportation, and a man in white shirt rolled sleeves, shook my hand. Hello, Mr. Gabra. My name is this. I'm the Minister of Transportation. Can we practice this in Ghana and in Africa? That is not possible. We have made the politics that we have to be quite rich, so everybody wants to be a politician. I'm very careful in my words anyway. So that is it, my brother.
And I do appreciate your time on this matter. Thank you so much, sir.
You're very most welcome.
Cecil Gabra is a transport expert joining us with his thoughts on this. Now, Grace, with the current status of the law, the Road Traffic Regulations 2012 LI 280, it allows only the government vehicle used for official purposes by the head of state, in this case, the president.
Yeah.
Not even the vice president is supposed to use a siren. A police vehicle, a motor
Which you
vehicle.
usually see
Absolutely.
on our roads.
Police vehicle used by the fire service. And then you would also have, in this instance, at least spare the details of this, and then others. But even the vice president, per the current status of the law, is
cannot use sirens and all.
So what do we do now? And now that this has been withdrawn, this is something that we'll have a conversation on as we go on.
Definitely, Alfred.
And Kamla Kluche is our colleague who's connecting with us from Parliament. He's a parliamentary affairs correspondent. Kamla, what's the latest on this LI, the amendment to this LI that has been withdrawn as we speak?
I mean, as it's withdrawn, it means there's nothing before the House. There's nothing to be considered really as of yet. And I mean, you can understand the uproar that came from the public on the LI, the amendment to the regulations, which has actually made them to withdraw it as of now. And so once it's been withdrawn, there's no issue regarding that. Yes, of course, both sides of the House felt the heat that was coming from the public, and so they have had to just bat and quickly withdraw it. Some understanding early on, before the withdrawal, the minority had issued a statement, and some understanding they had at conclave where both sides of the House, as the chief whips from both sides, were going to make a statement, and then subsequently the minister would withdraw. But the majority leader, who we understand was not at the conclave meeting, had come and make some amendment of the sort which allowed the local government minister to just go ahead and withdraw it. Ordinarily, we would have seen the chief whips making a statement in that regard as to what the content is, probably to calm waters, to assure Ghanaians that this possibly did not have a lot of consultation on it, presumably, but that opportunity didn't come. And so the majority leader drew the attention of the Speaker to the effect that there was something urgent that they needed the local government minister to do right on behalf of the transport minister, who was not in the house himself. And so Martin Agyemang, of course, the local government minister, for him. So as we speak, there's nothing before Parliament, there's nothing to be considered in terms of MPs, charges, and ministers using sirens in exemption of the Road Traffic Regulation Act.
Great stuff. Komla, and before I let you go, we're getting information that the controversial lithium mining agreement between the government of Ghana and Barari DV Ghana Limited also has been laid before Parliament.
Exactly, and the referral has been made to a new committee, which now is the Lands and Forestry Ministry. But the Speaker himself, Alban Bagden, has been issuing some caution on this, that it should not be rushed. He made the point that, yes, extensive consultation has to be done on this. And the composition of the committee stands as this. Now, it's been referred to the Lands and Forestry Committee, and also 4 members from both sides of the House, that is the leadership, would also be added to it for a broader consultation. The Speaker in the referral, in fact, the referral was first made by the second Deputy Speaker, Andrew Ocansey, and the minority chief whip, Kwame Gomez, sought to draw the House attention to the fact that this lithium agreement must not be rushed because of the demonstrations and also the uproar, especially in the areas that the lithium is found, or the specific areas, and even other areas, especially in the central region, where concerns have come up. But the second Deputy Speaker made a referral, and there was a contention whether the Mines and Energy Committee should also be added to it. But at the end of the day, Speaker Bagden, in coming back to the chamber, had sought to clarify, to indicate that it is now referred only to the new committee on lands and forestry to look into it, and the 4 members from both sides of leadership, land and natural resources, and that 4 members from the leadership, as both sides, should also join, and they should do extensive engagement on this, where they would also engage experts on the matter, experts in the mining industry, as well as also the communities involved. He's giving them enough time, and he's not expecting that day rising at the close of this month, the agreement would have been ratified by Parliament, but he's giving them up to the end of this Parliament to be able to do that, considering the amount of uproar and demonstration that has rocked this whole issue of lithium mining.
Komla, I do appreciate this update. Thank you so much. Komla Kluche is our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, giving us update on this, because the controversial lithium mining agreement between the government of Ghana and Barari DV Ghana Limited, a subsidiary of Atlantic Lithium Limited, has faced repeated obstacles in Parliament. Government granted Barari DV Ghana Limited a 15-year mining lease to commence construction and mining of lithium at Woya in the Fantiman municipality of the Central Region. Understand this this particular deal has been laid successfully before Parliament today. Grace.
Well, Alfred, talking about the Central Region, we know that a case of dengue fever has been recorded there, and so let's go straight to that. And what initially appeared like fatigue and malaria for residents in the Eastern Region has become the nightmare they least envisage. The outbreak of the dengue fever caused by the Aedes mosquito. 11 cases have so far been confirmed in 5 districts of the eastern region from 103 samples picked up, with 57 more samples awaiting confirmation at the Neguchi Memorial Institute for Research. Janet Cordier and her husband are among the few who have been saddled with the pains of recovering from dengue fever. She recounts the challenging recovery journey, having to spend days at Brenase Polyclinic and undergoing rigorous treatment to combat the effects of the fever.
Ba doctor man ko lab no say malaria to ba jimi ato me be ka yale no so te say abana mi ko ne di ka kan abat tima sa nyina me say ne be diabetes ai a doctor e di insulin and esi me so me ready mu na twetwe me na me ko achi be ti dompe enna murum kra me twefenti afo.
Well, so Janet Cordier is a survivor, and she has been telling us how she was exhibiting all the symptoms of malaria and fever until she was told that it's not ordinary malaria and fever, but rather dengue fever. Well, the increasing presence of Aedes mosquitoes pose a severe threat to farmers in the 5 districts with the dengue fever cases, potentially leading to food security crisis in the long term. The Agyemang District Chief Executive Paul Asamoah says educational efforts, fumigation and mass spraying exercises would be reinforced as immediate response measures.
I've been showing you.
The district directorate of health prompted us, and we assigned them to start the investigation. And later we realized it kept increasing. So we had to prompt the regional directorate and then the national. So whilst they were putting up measures to come and take control, the district assembly decided to do fumigation exercise to control the spread. So fortunately, we had support from Zoom Lion with some chemicals, and so we used the Zoom Lion fumigation team, and we roped in the cocoa board mass spraying gangs. So because it was spreading, and according to the farmers, the mosquitoes were not only in the communities, they spread even in their various farms. So we had to increase the spraying gangs to reach their various farms, especially where we received the initial report. So as for this assembly, we have resumed fumigation exercise to control the spread. Whilst the head directors are also taking samples and doing the investigation and going ahead with treatment. Initially, when it started, most of them were apprehensive because you go to the various health centers and you see people, more people. Some of them they don't even have bed to be admitted on. Some of them sitting in the chairs whilst they receive treatment, and so this has come as a very good news to the people. And for the assembly and then the head directorate, whilst they are doing the investigation and treatment, they are also supporting it with the education.
That was the Agyemang District Chief Executive Paul Asamoah. Let's speak to Professor Alfred Binka, who is an epidemiologist on this. Prof, thank you for joining us tonight. What are you picking about this fever and its outbreak in the country?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, and greetings to your revered listeners. The issue is that, yes, we started having a spread initially reported from the eastern region, and now we are in the central region. The issue is that we have the right conditions here in Ghana for the spread of Aedes, the mosquito, the Aedes aegypti, that transmits this disease, this virus. Aedes aegypti is very common, and as you know, it's in the same mosquito that transmits yellow fever. And most of you have heard about yellow fever in this country for a very long time. We've gotten it down, but this is the same class of groups. The problem we have with dengue fever is that most people who are infected by this disease do not show any symptoms. In fact, it's estimated that 80% of people who get the virus do not show symptoms. If they do show symptoms, the symptoms are virtually not different from what you get in malaria. So it's not having a distinct way of presenting itself. The big problem is that, unlike malaria, Aedes dengue fever has no treatment. And so when it gets into the severe form, there's no choice. Most of the people who get a severe form tend to die. The problem we have in this country now is that, yes, we've been talking about Aedes dengue fever for a very long time, but our surveillance systems are not that rigid and strong to find them. First, we don't have a big map of where Aedes aegypti mosquitoes are, and we don't have a picture of where people who have been tested in their blood to find whether they've been exposed to this disease can be found. That is our problem now.
Prof, so I mean, when the outbreak, Ghana recorded some cases of COVID-19, we got the assurance from government and all those responsible that we are prepared for any such outbreaks and infections like this one. Would you say that we probably haven't prepared enough or haven't learned any lessons from what COVID brought us?
Yes, I think that the COVID situation, we did well, but since the COVID has been declared that we are no more in the pandemic, I don't think the resources that we need have been put together, and we have not reviewed our health system. In fact, in most countries, we should have reviewed our communicable disease system to make sure that the surveillance system is robust and it is possible for us to detect other forms of diseases, preparing ourselves for the next epidemic or pandemic.
Prof, what would you say we should be doing now? What would be your recommendation, how we should be tackling this? We already know we have some cases in the eastern region, and now we have another case in the central region.
Yes, so the first thing is that we have to go back there and start looking at the people in that area, that conclave, and trying to find the number of people who have shown positivity to the disease in their blood. Number two, we have to send our entomologists to go and start looking at the density of Aedes aegypti, this mosquito, in that area, and then they will then try to start decreasing the population of those mosquitoes by what we call the larval source moderation. They will try and kill the larvae of those mosquitoes so that we don't have an explosion of the mosquitoes in that area, because luckily it is only carried out by these mosquitoes. Number three, I think we need to make sure that the health facilities in those areas are given an upgrade to make sure that they can look at the suspicious cases and to start detaining them.
Prof, is it the case that the Aedes mosquito doesn't bite at night but does so only in the early mornings and in the day? How do we protect ourselves then?
Well, the Aedes mosquitoes, yes, tend to bite during the day, because actually most of the Aedes mosquitoes breed in the car tires that we throw around, in bowls, in water that accumulates outside the rooms, in the houses where we store water because of our water shortage. They like clean, nice water, and you know the car tires can store rainwater for a very long time. So they're able to breed there. And if they breed there, then obviously they're going to bite people around that time of the day when people are outside and not people who are inside. Okay? So that's our problem. It's not something that we have actually put any emphasis on controlling for a very long time. And that is what is coming to create a problem for us now. But now what we need to do is to map out and try to be ahead of the disease rather than chasing the disease.
All right, Prof, thank you for speaking to us. Professor Fred Binka is an epidemiologist. Alfred.
Great. Now, to some of the stories, the Auditor General's report has uncovered that the Electricity Company of Ghana procured meters which exceeded $145 million, actually violated the Public Procurement Act in doing so. The report also revealed that ECG was unable to fully recover the excess of some 53.9 million Ghana cedis identified through monitoring and did not take legal action against customers involved in electricity theft, which could have saved the company quite more. The audit spanned from August to December 2022 and examined the period from 2016 to 2021 at various ECG locations, including the headquarters, metering and technical services division, the materials and depot in the Greater Accra region, as well as 4 selected regional and 9 district offices. ECG signed 50 contracts to procure 862,750 meters and its accessories, amounting to over $145 million over the audited period, without adhering to the required public procurement procedures. That's what's been found now by the Auditor General. In the letter sent to the Speaker on June 3, 2023, the Auditor General, Johnson Ocansey, recommended that the ECG should ensure all procurement activities comply with the Public Procurement Act to guarantee value for money. Aside from that, there's also something else that's come up. Same Auditor General's report. A performance audit conducted by the Auditor General on the management of the Ghana School Feeding Program, GRACE, has uncovered that about 2.3 million Ghana cedis has been overpaid to caterers of the school feeding program. Now, the Auditor General carried out the audit from the period of August to October 2022 at the Ghana School Feeding Program, National Secretariat in Accra, Ashanti Region, Eastern, Greater Accra, Upper East, and Western regional offices. The audit covered the period of 2017 to 2022. It was also uncovered that the food served by the cooks was not adequate to sustain the pupils through the instructional period or school day. So we don't even have enough money going into the school feeding program. And yet, the caterers have been overpaid. And there's also that call for the allocation per student to be increased.
Yes.
Now it's 80 pesos. You can imagine.
And it's interesting to know that these caterers have been overpaid when almost all the time what we hear is government is owing us, government is in arrears of caterers,
True.
and then we find out that they are being overpaid. How do you draw the balance? Where is the correlation? And it's very interesting to go a lot more into this reports by the Auditor General, and then also hear from maybe the caterers and the administrators on how this overpayment happened and all of that.
Indeed, and that's a good point that you're making there. We'll keep an eye on this one. While the Upper West Regional Security Council has placed 100,000 cedis bounty on suspects of mysterious killings in the region, urging residents to share information. This has become necessary in the face of another person found murdered in the early hours of Monday, July 15. That was yesterday. Here's the Regional Minister, Stephen Yakubu, speaking earlier.
I really don't know. I mean, these are things that we are pondering. We are wondering why people are not coming out because of fear, maybe because we are people put 100,000 on, anyone who can give us information that will lead to the arrest of some of these people. But as I said, it is just people telling us, informing the security services what they have seen that they are not comfortable with. And I'm very sure that if people start talking, we should be able to unravel this in a very short time. It is just the silence of a quarter of silence. That is what is the problem. And that's what we are trying to do. And hopefully, we are doing a lot, which I don't want to say it on radio. I think that we are heading towards a situation where one day we will be able to catch the perpetrators. But what we are pleading is that we should come with whatever information, no matter how they think it's not relevant. You should just let us know. If they see anybody, now, in the night, it's very, very, very dangerous, for anybody at all to be out there alone, even taking fresh air and things like that. You never know what's going to happen to you. And these is something that is involving the entire one municipality. And it's something that we are saying that, look, we cannot do it alone. We need to do this together. We are engaging together. So any information that you have, please, just let us know. If you see someone moving towards the place in the night, maybe you've gotten up to go and use the toilet or anything like that, and you see somebody, just call. There are numbers out there to call for us to know what is going on. That's the easy way for us to be able to unravel this because it's something that is very worrisome all about.
As a regional minister, Stephen Yakubu there, the deceased believed to be in his late 30s was a driver's mate and was found lying motionless with a deep throat cut by the truck he followed to discharge goods at a warehouse. The latest killing brings to 27 the number of victims who have been brutally murdered by a suspected syndicate that has been operating in the Wa Township since 2022. Now, the youth in the area staged a protest over the weekend to register their displeasure about the issue. The Wa Regional Police Command is expected to meet youth groups and other stakeholders in Wa over recent mysterious killings in the region. And let's stay a bit further on this. Dr. Adam Bona is a security analyst joining us on the telephone. Dr. Bona, appreciate your time here on Hot Edition. So this 100,000 cedi bounty that the minister has announced, from your own security perspective, how much of an impact is that going to make in the search for these persons who have been killing people in the Wa Township? 27 of them so far.
Hello?
Hello, Dr. Bona, can you hear me?
No, I couldn't. Can you repeat what?
Yes, I was saying that this, with the Upper West Regional Security Council placing 100,000 cedis bounty on these suspects of these mysterious killings in the region, from your security perspective, how much of a difference will this make in the search for the persons who are behind this?
Well, Alfred, it depends on what we are talking about. This has been going on for the last 3 years, and this is last night or yesterday. The recent one makes it the 18th person victim, and we haven't been able to find any credible suspect who is in custody and probably undergoing or going through prosecution. So it tells you that this could be a very sophisticated, persons or a person engaged in this type of killing, and we should be able by now have been able to establish the motive. And so the 100,000, if you ask me, is dependent on a lot of factors, whether whoever or those who are doing this are connected to people who would really would want to give out information about them for the bounty, or there will be people who would want to be quiet because of fear of, being attacked or, something like that. And so for me, I would say it is good. It's a good gesture to usually use this as a way to get informants to come forward and talk. But looking at how sophisticated this whole thing is, I think we need to add some more layers of investigating this to ensure that probably they are able to establish a motive. I still have I think by now there should have been a discussion about motive, because then discussing motive openly by public officers who are in charge in the region will probably give some information out to some persons who would not know that they are actually living with some serial killers, or they are living with some people who might be doing such a thing. And so establishing a motive is very important in this type of sophisticated crime, Alfred.
I see. And talking about the sophisticated nature of this crime, especially because we're looking at a 2-year period where over the 2 years, we understand 27 people have been killed. Beyond this bounty, what strategy should the Regional Security Council be looking at employing to unravel these mysterious killings?
I have, in fact, and I've spoken to some members of the Regional Security Council, and I proposed to them that they need to broaden their scope of investigations, which, every homicide technicians attend. There are 1 million clues that are usually that will lead them to arresting whoever is a perpetrator. There are 1 million, exhibits that could be found. And so mine is that they should broaden the scope. Broadening the scope they should go beyond the usual looking for a certain wretched, what do you call it, a criminal or serial killer who is a psychopath, who is mentally deranged and is doing things, and go into other areas such as people who believe in ritual activities, juju areas, go to some people who are money doublers, those who double money, those who do all manner of magic in the name of ritual, activities, and try to test the waters in some of these areas. Ask them what they can do. Ask them what they need for them to do what you have come to them for. All these things would usually lead to them getting closer, because at the moment, it looks so sophisticated. And I have said on your platform and other platforms that, you cannot discount the issue of galamsey in this type of killing in the area. I've said it repeatedly, but I don't know whether they place a value on what I'm saying, because you and I know that when galamsey became something else in this country, anytime a pit, collapsed on people, anytime there was bloodshed in galamsey areas, the illegal miners became happy, because to them, they would find, once there is blood, they would find more gold. And why would you want to go and slit somebody's throat and sometimes remove human parts? When you slit somebody's throat, you are not going to eat the person's, flesh, excuse me to say. So do they collect blood? So these are things that the pathologists, those who are investigating this, they need to break it down very well. And so as far as I'm concerned, the crime is sophisticated. Investigating it requires a level of sophistication. Once you are able to do that, you want to know, there's a person who has been killed, has any history of, probably sickness. You want to know how much blood was lost. As at the time they found the person, did the person, they are a way of investigating this to know whether we are told that the last one, they didn't go away with any human parts. But when I heard that, I crunched, because when you say they didn't, are you also sure they didn't collect blood? Are you also sure? Because you need to know whether, because they keep changing. We need to know, did they collect blood? And so mine is that I am looking at this not from the point of view of conventional, homicide cases, but the unconventional type of homicide cases where those doing this are so sophisticated and know what they are doing, and they are almost like 2 steps ahead of the, investigation. So I think that they need to break it down.
Right. Dr. Bona, I appreciate your time on this matter, and thank you, as always. Dr. Adam Bona is a security analyst joining us on this mysterious killings in the Wa Township. I'm going to go for the business news, but before that, Grace?
Yes, before that, Alfred, step into the world of Dewa 539 for your chance to win big with Dewa Direct and Dewa Chop Money. With Dewa Direct, dial *446#, pick 1 to 39, and win 20 times, 40 times, or 400 times your stake. And win cash every evening at 7 p.m. and on Sundays at 6 p.m. Early birds love Dewa Chop Money. At 10 a.m., dial *446#, choose from 1 to 39 and win 20 times, 40 times, or 400 times. Play at dewa-nla.com or dial *446#. Need help? Call 055-625-9249 or 0532-479-879. Dewa Afa.
When it comes to the world of sports, what does complete mean to you?
When my team scores at the end of a 30-plus passing sequence, like Pep Guardiola style.
When someone beats the buzzer from a shot from the logo, like Steph Curry.
Dominating opponents and punching my way to a knockout, like Africa's greatest boxer, Azuma Nelson.
Running so fast that I can afford to celebrate midway through a 100-meter race and smash the world record like Usain Bolt.
Hold up. What makes all of these sports complete is the screen. This is where you get access to extensive analysis, insights, and highlights.
So join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. live on 3FM 92.7 as we serve you the most satisfying buffet in the world of sports. The 3 Sports team will come together to review, preview, and analyze the latest in sports on Sports Ultras.
Well, hello there. Good evening. It's time now for the business segment here on Hot Edition. Coming up tonight, a World Bank report reveals Ghana shows strong economic resilience to international shocks, surpassing a regional average. We'll bring you details of the 2023 Country Policy Institutional Assessment. I am Michael Obudu. Please stay. Well, thank you so much for your time. Straight into our top story. A latest World Bank report has revealed that the Ghanaian economy still stands strong, still shows strong resilience to international shocks, known as the Country Policy Institutional Assessment, CPI. The report says Ghana maintained a 3.4 score in 2023, placing it among 11 countries whose economic performance lies above the regional average in sub-Saharan Africa. Despite an indication of resilience for Ghana, Chief Economist at the World Bank Africa Division, Andrew Dabalin, said the country's position could have been better.
What hit me though in the report is that between 2022 and 2023, there is a disconnect between what we receive as reports from public sector and what the report is showing. A typical example is on investments, foreign investment particularly. What the GIPC in Ghana tends to report tends to be very bullish, but I'm seeing a decline from 1.3 to 1.1, over the period in the report in terms of growth. So these are some of the things but largely I will summarize what hit me in one sense. You have a situation where for most African countries, neither the public sector or the private sector is doing well. And that is not a good sign. And I think Andrew hit it when he talked about the fact that when the public sector is not increasing its expenditure, you expect the private sector to step in. We may know the reasons all right, but I'm saying when both public and private sector is not doing very well, which is very obvious in the report, I think it's not a good sign for any economy. I think the economy on this part of the world is generally the opposite of the economy of the western and the northern part of the world. In that part of the world, the private sector is a driver of the economy.
So that was rather the voice of founder and senior partner at law firm ABN David Ofosudote there, who raised concerns about Ghana's declining export earnings, which according to him, the deepening woes of the private and public sectors are not good signs for economic development. Now, away from that, founder and chief executive of Human Capital Africa, a former World Bank Vice President of Africa, Dr. Obiageli Ezekwesili, has called for an end to the periodic debt distress plaguing the continent. She emphasized that this issue must be addressed through the prudent use of resources to tackle critical sectors, including education, which is currently in crisis. Dr. Ezekwesili's remark follow a World Bank report estimating that by 2030, the learning crisis in Africa will cost the continent over $300 billion annually.
Governments have to say, how do we grow economy? Because the enabling environment, the macro environment to support investment by your citizens, by a foreign direct investment, they all matter for growth. If you improve your mobilization of revenue, there is much more on the table. And when President Kikwete was talking about innovative financing mechanisms, some of the debts that have ratcheted up again on the continent have not been productively used. These are debts that were taken, but you cannot see the real output and impact of the debt. And so here we go again as a continent talking about being debt distressed. We can't let this be a cyclical pattern for our continent. It has to change, So just knowing how to be prudent as a continent, how to govern our resources well, is a critical context within which our conversation on mobilizing additional resources for education on the continent.
So that was founder and chief executive of Human Capital Africa and a former World Bank vice president for Africa, Dr. Obiageli Ezekwesili. Now, away from that, Ghana's cocoa production output reached almost 430,000 metric tons at the end of the harvest in June this year, according to data released by the cocoa regulator, Cocoa Board. However, this production output, according to reports, is less than 55% of the average seasonal output. The decline in cocoa output has been attributed to disastrous harvest caused by poor weather conditions, swollen port disease, and illegal mining activities, particularly in Ghana. These developments, along with supply chain disruptions, have pushed up the prices of cocoa on the international market. Cumulatively, Ghana and Ivory Coast account for about 60% of the global supply of cocoa beans. The latest data from Cocoa Board obtained by international news portal Reuters did not provide information on cocoa production that may have been trafficked into Ghana illegally. Well, finally, before we leave you, a former managing director of the Tema Oil Refinery, Asante Kweku Bekun, has been arraigned today in a federal court in Brooklyn on charges of bribing Ghanaian government officials and money laundering. Bekun, a former executive director in Goldman Sachs Gold Incorporated London subsidiary group, allegedly used his position to secure a lucrative power plant deal in Ghana through bribery. According to the indictment, Bekun, a dual citizen of the United States and Ghana, conspired with others between 2014 and 2017 to funnel bribes to Ghanaian officials in exchange for their support of a Turkish energy company's bid to build and operate power plants in the country. Bekun, who was responsible for managing the deal between the bank, the Turkish company, and the Ghanaian government, allegedly facilitated bribe payments exceeding hundreds of thousands of dollars. The indictment details instances of bribery, including a trip to Turkey for Ghanaian officials where they received $5,000 each and payments to individuals within the Ghanaian Ministry of Power. And this we are sourcing from a local news agency. Well, that brings us to an end to the business segment here on Hot Edition. For more business stories, please check out our website at 3news.com/business. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe. Up next is sports, and Bill is on standby to bring you the latest. Stay tuned.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on a 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Belishan, and on to our first story. Abdul Fattah Ishahaku
has permanently joined Leicester City on a 5-year deal, in a deal worth £14 million. Now, he impressed during a loan spell at Leicester City, helping them to win the championship and getting promotion to the English Premier League. Now, my colleague Oreku Ampofo looks at the details of the deal, how he managed to force a permanent deal and all the details that comes with it as well.
Leicester City's loan acquisition of Fatau Issahaku last season came with a potential permanent transfer clause contingent on specific performance metrics. The agreement stipulated that if the Ghanaian featured in 60% of Leicester's matches and the club secured promotion, they would be obligated to purchase him for €17 million from July 1st, 2024. The 20-year-old winger surpassed expectations, participating in an impressive 81.8% of games as Leicester claimed the championship title and returned to the Premier League. Issahaku's contributions were substantial: 7 goals and 13 assists in 43 appearances, averaging a goal involvement every 124.8 minutes. Under Enzo Maresca's guidance, Issahaku proved to be a dynamic presence on the flanks. He created 32 big chances, successfully completed 90 take-ons, and delivered 80 passes into the penalty area. His outstanding performances earned him Leicester's Young Player of the Season award. However, with Maresca's departure to Chelsea, Issahaku faces a new challenge. He will now work under incoming manager Steve Cooper in the Premier League, necessitating adaptation to a potentially different tactical approach.
That was an explainer there by Oreku Ampo for detailing the stats of Abdul Fatau Issahaku with Leicester City last season. Now to our second story. Ghana international midfielder Majid Ashmeru has extended his contract with Anderlecht until 2027. The club announced on Tuesday. The decision comes after Ashmeru has been an integral part of the team since 2021, surpassing 100 games for Anderlecht since joining from Red Bull Salzburg. But he has been struggling with a number of injuries from last season, and hopefully he can remain fit for the remainder of his contract at Anderlecht, that is in Belgium. But moving on to European football, the big one, Kylian Mbappe has officially been unveiled as a player of Real Madrid after earlier signing a permanent 5-year contract in June. Now, Mbappe signed a contract that is worth 15 million euros in salary and about 150 million euros in signing-on fee. That translates to a 5-year period. Now, Mbappe was first approached by Real Madrid back in 2017, where he moved to PSG and was also close to moving to Madrid in 2022, but signed with PSG again, and now he has signed for Real Madrid as a free agent. Here is a report detailing the kind of saga that Real Madrid had to go through to finally land their man. The saga began in 2017 when Mbappe announced his name to the whole of Europe at Monaco, leading the French club to the Champions League semi-final. During the summer of that year, the Frenchman chose PSG over Real Madrid, joining Neymar, who had then signed for the Parisians for a world record fee. As Mbappe blossomed, Madrid kept coming and almost got their man in the summer of 2022, when at the time the World Cup winner was a free agent. Eventually, the 25-year-old extended his contract for 2 more seasons. The saga has now ended. Mbappe signed a 5-year deal in early June, earning about 15 million euros per year, plus a 150 million euros signing-on bonus. At his grand unveiling on Tuesday, which saw the Bernabeu filled to the rafters, Mbappe admitted his childhood dream of wearing the famous white kit has now been fulfilled.
Since I was a kid, it has been my dream to play here. Being here today means so much to me. For so many years, I've gone to sleep and dreamt about playing for Real Madrid, and today I am fulfilling it.
Real Madrid will go into the new season as current holders of the UEFA Champions League and La Liga. As has been the case each year, fan expectations will be as high as ever. Mbappe is expected to join Real Madrid in their pre-season tour at the USA. The spotlight will be on the man from Paris to lead the star-studded side, which features Vinicius, Bellingham and others. The spotlight will definitely be on Kylian Mbappe, who is expected to lead Real Madrid next season. Now, that brings an end to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Billy Shen. You can catch on more sports news at News 360 tonight on TV3. And, of course, Grace is on standby with more from the Hot Edition.
Early every weekday because of you, to keep you on top of your game. Yeah!
You are at the center of our universe. That's why we make it a duty to serve you only the freshest, hottest news and entertainment. When you want it, where you want it.
Good morning, Ghana, Africa, and the rest of the wonderful world. Welcome to Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Start your day well informed. Start with us on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Catch the all-new Sunrise Morning Show on 3FM 92.7 with me, Johnny Hughes, Helen Apiambofo. Weekdays from 5:55 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on 3FM 92.7.
3FM, your urban lifestyle radio.
3FM 92.7.
Welcome back. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Let's do some more stories. And the vigilance of immigration officers at the Paga border post has led to the interception and arrest of a Chinese national and his Ghanaian accomplice. The two were in a Burkina Faso registered Toyota RAV4 car numbered 0919G203. And reaching the Ghana side of the border, they attempted to evade immigration control by speeding off Inspector Ebenezer Bedu and AICO1 Charles Talley, who were on duty, gave them a hot chase, which led to the interception and arrest of Mr. Zong Kwan, the Chinese, and Mr. Awato Kwame, his Ghanaian accomplice. A search conducted on the vehicle revealed 2 Chinese pump-action guns, 11 packs of body armor bags, 2 jackknives, 15 electronic gold scales, 3 phones, 1 pack of suspected gold ore, and some amount of money. The suspects have been handed over to the police for further investigations. Meanwhile, the Controller General of Immigration, Kwame Esuatechi Esquire, has directed all commanders to tighten security at the country's borders and beef up patrols at all unapproved routes to ensure that illegal entries and exits are brought down to the barest minimum. Let's do some other stories and go to education now, because the timely release of the 2024 BC results is likely to face a snag if government indebtedness to the West African Examination Council continues. This is because the council is yet to receive the full complement of arrears owed them by government for onward distribution to examiners and others. The Ministry of Finance released 47.13 million to WAEC, giving the council a lease of life towards the conduct of the just ended BC. Let's speak to Head of Public Affairs at WAEC, John Kapi, who has joined us on the phone. Mr. Kapi, thank you for joining us. How much does government owe you, and when last did you receive payment from them?
Good evening, and thanks for having me. So far, I think at the last meeting we held with the press, we indicated that we had received 55.8 million. So after the last time I had a discussion with the Director of Finance, this was the figure that was there. But then at the time also, they had indicated that plans were far advanced to release some further funds to us. So probably a meeting with him, because of the exams, I've not had the opportunity to have a chat. But when I meet him, I'll probably be able to tell how much more has been paid to us and whether the entire figure, has been settled.
You tell us that any delays in the release of the remaining amounts might affect marking and also release of the BC results. Tell us a bit more about that.
Well, I wouldn't want to comment directly on the issue of funds because I do not have any information about that. That would be in bad faith. But I think that looking at the nature of the job that we have to do, it will be much more convenient for us if we get all the funds available so that the marking exercise can go on smoothly. We wouldn't want a situation where examiners would, come in and demand payment before they start work or anything of the sort. But at least once you have the funds available, why not? When you go out there, you talk with a lot of conviction.
The last time we spoke, you also mentioned that some students and invigilators have been arrested for their engagement in examination malpractice. Bring us up to speed on the latest on this.
Right. So, after the last time we did our tally, we had about 17 invigilators. We had 2 assistant supervisors. Then we had 11, other teachers who had no relation with the examination, but were found in some places, obscure places, trying to answer questions and send same to the candidates in the examination hall. Then there was also one center, somewhere in the center region, where we picked up 10 mobile phones on the students. So these are the people that we have on record so far who have breached the rules of the exam. I know our officers are still returning from the field, and so it's possible that many more reports on these issues will come.
Terapi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I was asking, when are we likely to see the release of the BC results?
Wow. There are a lot of processes that will go on before even the marking starts. For example, we just finished. We are now going to do our controls. We are now going to do our swap, and then a lot of things will go. But for the meantime, we are focused on printing and conducting the WAS. So I guess that there will be some meetings held, and at those meetings, decisions will be taken as to when marking will start and the possible release of results. Yeah.
All right, Kapi, thank you for speaking to us. John Kapi is Director of Public Affairs at the West African Examination Council, updating us on this year's BC and all the issues that matter to that. Let's do more stories. The Ghana National Association of Teachers has called on politicians to create jobs now or risk agitations and demonstrations before the end of this year. General Secretary of NAT, Thomas Musa Tanko, was reacting to the reports by the Statistical Service on job creation in Accra. Figures from the Ghana Statistical Service indicate that 1.9 million youth have no employment, no education and training, while 1.2 females also have no training and education. Over 790,000 of males also have no education, employment, and training, according to the Statistical Service. The Statistical Service projected in its reports the situation could be dire if government fails to act swiftly. Take a listen to Thomas Musa Tanko.
I've been showing you this thing. Recently, the Speaker of Parliament, when in his address, he said something that the joblessness, the homelessness, and the hopelessness of the youth cannot be taken lightly. I don't know whether we heard him or we didn't hear him. And he continued further to say that we must act together and now to prevent a journey to calamity or a journey of no return. Look, these words are deep. Calamity or peace, it is like life and death. Choose one. And this thing, like I have said, we cannot take it for granted as a people. It should be a wake-up call for all of us. Look, let me even show you. Having indicated what the speaker said. This is our own budget, 2018. 2018. According to this budget, specifically page 144, it says that only 10% of graduates find jobs after their first year of national service. Only 10%. The remaining 90% it takes them 10 good years for them to find. That is what we have here. The remaining 90%, it will take them about 10 good years to get job to do. And so, this news here, it is not to decorate the paper. Me, when I read it, I said, Father, have mercy on us as a people. We are begging the leaders of this country and the managers of this country that please, like the Speaker of Parliament said, for the peace and stability of this country, let us do something about this thing. And it must be now. It must be now. It must be now. It must be now. Look, a desperate man, a desperate man can do anything. And the things they can do, you will not believe it. Because when you are desperate, there is nothing that can stop you.
General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, Thomas Musa Tanko, the Alfred, NAT is raising, a concern that has been an issue for almost everybody about the fact that over 1.9 million youth in the country are not in education, not in skill training, and basically have nothing doing on their hands. Earlier on midday, we spoke to the Regional Institute of Population Studies, and they raised a concern that when you have a lot of people who are not working or have nothing doing, they turn their energies into negative activities. And so they were saying that they would not be surprised if we end up hearing that a lot of Ghanaian youth are being lured into these jihadist activities or other forms of activities that will not augur well for the country because they don't have anything doing. If somebody is presenting them with something attractive, then they are obviously likely to go for it.
Indeed, and that goes without saying. And the devil finds work for the idle hands.
For the idle hands, yeah.
So they say. And let's get into issues of politics here on your election command center. And the running mate to the NDC flag bearer, Professor Dana Jinopoko Agyemang, has been touring some fishing communities in the Greater Accra region. My colleague Joseph Armstrong Godalogbe has been with every step of the way. What exactly did she say in summary?
Alfred, so the NDC running mate has been assuring fishermen or fisher folk at the Botiano English and Manfro that should the NDC win power come December, she will ensure that there are concerns such as premise 4 that is in shortage currently, and also the issue of close season that the fishermen says that it's not really good for them because that's their only source of livelihood. She assured them that when she comes, she will make sure they look into the issue, and if the fishermen insist that the close season should be cancelled, she will ensure that that is adhered to because they are the fishermen. And she also acknowledged that she is from the fishing community as a Fanti, and this thing has never happened before. So why would you want to close the sea knowing that the fishes do not stay at one place? They keep moving. If you close the sea after August or something, they move to the next country and the fishermen loses. So she assured them that definitely when NDC come, it's possible that the close season will be a thing of the past, Alfred.
I see. And so from that area, where else did she move to?
So today is the first time she began touring the fishing communities, and so she said that every Tuesday she will identify a fishing community within the Greater Accra region, visit them, and then listen to their plight, and also we'll see how they can address it if they are to come to power come December after the general election.
Joseph Gold, Armstrong, Alogbe, thank you very much for all this. So yeah, on your election command center, but I've also on KESME 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and so on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. On behalf of the rest of the team, I want to say thank you so much for staying with us. My name is Alfred Ocansey. Join me at 10 p.m. on TV3 for Ghana Tonight.
My name is Grace Agyemang. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy the rest of our programs.